Hi guys, my name is Deb Marnie and I'm from Aussie Maille, and this is our chainmail tutorial channel. Hey guys, a big hi, hello, welcome, how are you? Thanks for popping in and spending some time with me today. It is really great to see you. So today I've got a weave tutorial for you. The weave we'll be looking at today is called Handfast. It's a fairly simple weave and I think you should enjoy it. Alright guys, let's jump into it. Okay guys, so I've got a couple of samples here made up for you of the Handfast weave. The ring sizes I used for these two pieces will be coming up here on the side of the screen. They'll also be listed down in the description section that you'll find underneath this video. But to run through them quickly with you, so there's 3 different ring sizes per piece with 3 different gauges of each. So the first one here, the larger one, the large rings are 14 gauge AWG 1.6 millimeter diameter wire, and they have a ring ID of 7/16 of an inch or 11.11 millimeters. The next size, the medium size, is 16 gauge AWG 1.2 millimeter diameter wire with a ring ID of 7.5 millimeters. And finally, the small size is 18 gauge AWG 1 millimeter diameter wire with a ring ID of 4.25 millimeters. The other size, the large ring, is 16 gauge AWG 1.2 millimeter diameter wire, ring ID of 8.5 millimeters. The medium size, these rings here, they are 18 gauge AWG 1 millimeter diameter wire with a ring ID of 6 millimeters. And finally, the small rings are 20 gauge AWG 0.8 millimeter diameter wire with a ring ID of 3.5 millimeters. So as you can see, this is a very, what I would call, delicate weave. It's very open, very light, very airy feeling. It's quite an easy weave to do, guys, so I can't see that you will have any problems with this. Okay, so before you start this weave, I suggest closing up about half of your large rings, all of your medium rings, and everything else is open, so you can open them up as you go along. Now, of course, you can close them up as you go if that's what you prefer. But that's just my advice to you. Okay, so to start this ring, we're going to take up our small ring, and onto that we're going to pop a large and a medium ring. So I've pre-closed them, and then close up the small ring, and then we're going to double that small ring up. Okay, so our work should look like this. We've got 1 large, 2 small, 1 medium. Now I'm just going to pop a twist tie through here just to give myself something to hang on to. It's not super necessary, just makes it a little bit easier. Okay, so once you've got this far, you're going to take up another small ring, feed that through your medium ring, and before closing, pop on another one of your pre-closed medium rings, and then close that up. Then take up another small ring, feed it through the medium ring that you just added on your chain, and before closing, pop on a large ring. Okay, close that up, and then double that small ring up. Okay, so this is what your work should look like at the moment. And we now want to repeat that pattern along. So we now want to put the medium, so 2 small rings, medium ring, 1 small ring, medium ring, large ring. And we want to do that for the length that we require our bracelet to be. So again, I'm just putting a small ring through my large ring. I'm going to pop on the medium ring. That's the next one there in the weave that you can see. Okay. I'm going to double that ring up like we did back here at the beginning. Okay. Then we need to add another small ring through that medium ring that we just placed. And before closing, we add another medium ring, close it up, and then finally we want to add another large ring to our work. So again, take up a small ring, pop it through your medium ring, pop on your pre-closed large, close your small ring up, and then we want to double that ring. Okay, and you keep going like that until you get the length that you require. It would be ideal if you could end and start with a large ring. If that's not going to work with the length that you've got, then you may need to adjust your pattern so that it fits best. You know, you might have a small ring coming off each side instead of a large ring or something. It depends on the length, but ideally you would want to start and end with the same ring just to keep that pattern nice and consistent. Okay, so the next ring we're going to place, it's going to go through our first medium ring here in our chain, but it needs to sit between the two pairs of small rings that we have already in place. Okay, so take up a small ring, feed it through your medium ring, making sure it sits between the two rings that are already there. And then we want to actually double that ring. So pop another one in there. Okay, so there's the two rings there that we've placed. You can see them there on the medium ring, sitting in between the previous small rings. And we want to do that again on the next medium ring in our weave. Again, going through the medium ring only, but sitting in between this pair here of small rings that's already in place. Okay, so I find it easier just to pull that up a little bit like that so that you've separated your medium ring out, and then pop your two small rings onto it. Okay, then move it back into position, and again you can see those two rings that we've just added there. Okay, and then once we've got those two rings added, we want to take up an opened large ring, and we're going to go through one of those pairs of small rings that we just added, so just like this, and then we want to go through the other pair on the other side. So we're going through the back. So it starts by going through the front of the weave, through the first pair, and then goes through the back of the weave, through the second pair. Okay, close it up, and it looks just like that. So you can see we've gone through the front of our weave in the first pair, and we've taken it around, and we've come up through the back of the weave in our second pair. So I'll show you how to do that again. So we want to add our small rings first. So we go down to our next sequence of rings, down to the medium, and we pop two small rings in between a pair of small rings that are already in the chain. Whoop, bit fiddly. There we go. Pop it into there. There's 1. 2. Okay. Do the same down here on the second small medium ring in the sequence. Again, separating those small rings, those joining small rings, so that you can put your new rings in between them. Making sure you put these new rings on the medium ring. So again, another pair of small rings. Okay, so there's our 2 new pairs of small rings that are attached to the medium rings, sitting inside the pair of small rings that were already in play in the weave. So now we want to place this large ring in the middle. So again, taking up an open large ring, we're going to go through the front of the weave through our first pair of small rings that we just added. Okay, so that's through the front. You then give your work a little bit of a spin, and we wanted this to go through the second pair of rings, but we don't want to put it through the front, we want to put it through the back. So we slip it underneath the weave and then pick up those 2 rings at the back. Okay, so just to show you that again. So this is our chain. These are our small rings here that we want to go through. We just scoop up the first pair at the front of our chain. We sort of spin the work around and position our next pair of rings. Okay, which are those ones there in the middle. We don't want to scoop them up here at the front, just like that. We don't want to do that. We want to go in behind our work. So we just slide that ring in underneath our work. We pick up those 2 rings there, those 2 small rings, and we just go through them and we close it up. And you just continue that down the length of your weave. And that, guys, that is Handfast Weave. Alright guys, well that's it. That's the video tutorial for today. I hope you enjoyed it and that you found it helpful and useful. If you did enjoy it, don't forget to give it a thumbs up here on YouTube. Share the video if you like. While you're here, ruffle around in some of the other videos we have for you. There's plenty to look at. If you're not a subscriber, you might want to consider doing that for us. That would be awesome if you could. And last but not least, guys, don't forget to give our shop link up here in the corner some loving and some affection, because that's always where we sell the bits and bobs and thingamajigs you're going to need to make up this weave and many of the others. All right, thanks once again for popping in and seeing me. I hope you're all keeping safe and well, and that I will catch up with you sometime soon. All right, guys, thanks. Bye.